Content and Contextual Analysis Speech of Corazon C. Aquino, the Joint Session of the United States Congress. So who is Maria Corazon Cuanco Aquino? She is the 11th president and the first female president of the Philippines. Born January 25, 1993 in Tarlac City. Graduated from the College of Mount St. Vincent in New York in 1953 with a bachelor degree in both French and mathematics. Widow of Senator Benigno Aquino. She also known as Mother of Asian Democracy. Historical context. On September 18, 1986, 7 months since Cory became the president, she went to the United States and spoke before the joint of U.S. Congress. Situation of that time. The Philippines is 7 months free from the martial law era that lasted for 14 years.
When former Senator Nino Aquino was shot at the tarmac of Manila International Airport on 21 August 1983, the Marcos regime greatly suffered a crisis of legitimacy. Protests from different sectors, frequently different areas in the country, functioned as a symbol of the restoration of democracy and the overthrow of the Marcos dictatorship on 1986. It installed Cory Aquino in the presidency, put the Philippines in the international spotlight for overthrowing dictator through peaceful means. Cory was easily a figure of the Sud Revolution as the widow of the slain Marcos oppositionist and the former Senator Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr., hoisted as the antithesis of the dictator. Her image as a mourning widowed housewife who had always been in the shadow of her husband and relatives and had no experience in politics was juxtaposed against Marcos' statesmanship, eloquence, charisma, and cunning political skills.
Intent of the speech: to declare the freedom of the Filipinos from the Marcos regime, to mark a new beginning for the Filipinos and to its government, to appeal for financial assistance by informing the American about the Philippine state.
Opening statement directly expresses her grief about her husband's death, but said that her husband's murder caused the country to find faith in democracy. Several more paragraphs tackling the challenges of their life, the 3 times they lost Ninoy, the dictator's cruel attempts to break Ninoy, but how Ninoy stood heroically firm, and how the traitor demolished democracy.
Narrated her perspective as a people's champion in the revolution that brought her peacefully to power as the president. She described Filipinos as people willing to give anything just to achieve democracy. She described how democracy was achieved under the most difficult circumstances and her ways to bring back democracy and restoring full constitutional government. So basically, she's talking about how she became president through a peaceful revolution, and she sees herself as someone who represents the people's fight for democracy. She's praising Filipinos for their dedication to achieving democracy even in tough times, and now she's focused on restoring full constitutional government and making sure democracy stays strong.
She finally mentioned the $26 billion foreign debt and that the Filipinos would honor it, despite not having received its benefits. She once again appealed the audience by strengthening the national commitment of the Filipinos, despite the many challenges and problems they just faced and continue to face, using it as her key point to why the Americans should extend financial help to the country that fought for their own freedom.
President Corazon Aquino points out the abuses of Marcos with his power and how much he grapples it. But more importantly, the speech is mostly about how the Philippines have recovered its freedom and what should be done next to repair the monstrosity that the last regime had created in the economy, politics, and society of the said country. Beneath all this storytelling also lies the main intent of seeking for financial aid in paying the $26 billion deposit.
At the time President Corazon Aquino delivered her speech, she was likely addressing the nation regarding the state of affairs in the Philippines following the EDSA Revolution 1. This would include outlining her vision for the country, addressing the challenges her government faced, and rallying support for her administration's initiatives. The speech might have been delivered during a period of transition and consolidation of power after the overthrow of President Ferdinand Marcos.
The EDSA Revolution 1, also known as the People Power Revolution, was a series of non-violent protests that took place in the Philippines from February 22 to 25, 1986. It led to the ousting of President Ferdinand Marcos, who had been in power for over 2 decades, and the installation of Corazon Aquino as president.
First is the political instability. The transition to democracy after years of authoritarian rule was challenging. Aquino's administration had to contend with opposition from remnants of Marcos' regime, as well as internal divisions with their own coalition. Second is the economic challenges. The Philippines experienced economic difficulties, including high inflation, unemployment, and a large foreign debt. Aquino's government had to implement economic reforms to stabilize the economy and address these issues. Third is the agrarian reform. One of the promises of Aquino administration was agrarian reform to address the issue of landlessness among farmers. However, implementing comprehensive agrarian reform faced obstacles, including resistance from landowners and logistical challenges. Fourth is the threat of military coups. The military, which played a significant role in the downfall of Marcos, remained a powerful institution in the Philippine politics. Aquino's government faced several coup attempts by factions within the military who were discontent with her administration's policies.